Today we're taking a look at Fender's American Professional Classic Jaguar. I've got a special place in my heart for this model, even though I've never owned one. It's the model, and in fact, this Jaguar I have right here has the same cosmetics that the guitar player in my middle school band got back in the early 80s when vintage Jaguars weren't too expensive. I know he felt more like a real guitar player when he got it, and it rubbed off on the rest of the band too. Also, Tom Verlaine of television was known to wield a Jaguar, and Marquee Moon was in heavy rotation on my turntable during my early days of playing. Fender introduced the Jaguar around 1962. It was designed to compete with Gibson models, and part of the formula was its shorter 24-inch scale length, just a bit shorter than a Les Paul's. That gives it lower string tension for a slinkier feel, plus a smaller workspace for people like me, for who the 25.5-inch scale of the Tele and Strat can sometimes feel like a stretch. It also gives the Jaguar a slightly warmer, darker tone. The Jaguar's floating tremolo system offered a different approach from the Stratocasters, which I'll talk about more later in this video. It also used sophisticated, some would say confusing electronics, which gave players a lot of tonal options. In this American Professional Classic version, these tone controls are pared back, but retain the high-pass Strangle switch, which blocks low frequencies for a cutting, trebly tone. Fender has produced a lot of iterations of the Jaguar, but currently, except for the Johnny Marr Signature and much more expensive custom shop models, this American Pro Classic version is the only American-made Jaguar Fender offers. And this high-value, vintage-inspired model is within reach for a lot of players. Let's orient ourselves among the different lines in Fender's universe because there are enough of them that it can be a little confusing at first. Everything generally fits into good, better, and best build quality levels, and their prices reflect that. And at each level there are a few different flavors, from more vintage spec to more modern. Fender's entry level is the Standard series, then you jump up to the Made in Mexico Player 2 series and the Ventura 2 series. From there you step up into the American-made Fenders with this American Professional Classic series. Continuing up the line of American-made Fenders, you can go for the American Professional 2, American Ultra 2, American Vintage 2, and finally the American Ultra Luxe series. Although, at this time, as I mentioned, the American Professional Classic is the only line to feature a Jag. All right, let's take a closer look at this Jaguar. It's got an alder body, which is a wood that Fender has been using since very early days, and it comes in 4 durable gloss urethane finishes, this beautiful 3-color sunburst, plus faded Lake Placid blue, faded Fire Mist gold, and faded Sherwood green metallic. The maple neck has a modern C shape that fits comfortably in my hand and has a warm vintage tint and a smooth satin urethane finish that feels really nice. And it's secured to the body with the traditional 4-bolt neck plate with the Fender logo on it. The fretboard uses a 9.5-inch radius with 22 medium jumbo frets, which invites easier string bends and single note runs than Fender's tighter vintage 7.25-inch radius. And it's got a synthetic bone nut that lets the strings move smoothly through its slots and has a comfy but spacious 1.685-inch width. And you access the truss rod at the headstock, which means you don't have to take the neck off to adjust the relief like you do on true vintage spec models. The hardware on this Jaguar is very similar to its offset cousin, the Jazzmaster. You've got a Mustang-style bridge with roller saddles. That gives you better intonation adjustability and tuning stability compared to the original style. It's got a pop-in tremolo arm and a floating vibrato system that by design is more stable than a Strat's. You can bend the strings without pulling the others sharp, and then there's this trem lock button that essentially decks your vibrato. So in the unlock position, you can pull up on the bar to push a note higher or press down on the bar to push it lower. With the button locked, you can only push down. To do that on a Strat, you have to get into the back of the guitar and tighten the spring claw screws. Why would you want to do this? For one thing, it increases stability, so double stops and bends are more precisely in tune, and if you break a string, the others will stay in tune, unlike on a Strat with the trem floating, where if you break a string, everything goes out of whack. Also, with this vibrato design, the strings pass over the bridge and into the tailpiece, so you can play around with behind the bridge atmospheric shading. The headstock has the larger 60s profile with the spaghetti-style Fender logo. Its vintage-style classic gear tuning machines use the venerable and ingenious split shaft design where you simply stick the end of the string straight down into the hole, give it a 90-degree bend into one side of the shaft, and tighten it up to tune. These tuner shafts have staggered heights, so each string has the optimum behind-the-nut angle for proper tension. These are Coastline 65 single-coil neck and bridge pickups, which Fender says are slightly overwound to give them a slightly higher output and warmer tone. That makes it easy to dial in thick twang when you switch to the bridge position, rich sparkle in the neck position, and that characteristic chirp with both pickups on when your switch is in the middle position. In any position, you can slide the Strangle switch on to filter out bass and get a skittering, sharp tone that cuts through the mix. The tone circuit behind the control plate uses Fender's Greasebucket system, which still cuts high frequencies like a traditional tone circuit but doesn't add bass. In practice, that means you can still get a usable tone even when you roll the knob all the way down. Okay, let's run through this Jaguar's tones in different settings. This is a really nice guitar. I have a vintage 65 Mustang that I've played for years on tours, in studios, and at home. And with its offset body and 24-inch scale, this Jaguar feels very familiar. But it's definitely more of a Cadillac ride with the contoured body, the flatter fretboard, and a more versatile vibrato system. The 65 Coastline pickups are well balanced, and I'd say they deliver what Fender promises, a slightly boosted output and warmer tone, which pairs well with the Strangle switch in case you need to pull out some woof. I like that the controls are simplified versus the original Jaguars, but if you wanted to modify it to 1962 specs, the body routing will accommodate vintage-style switches. If the past is any guide, this guitar could outlive you and hold or increase its value over time. It comes with a deluxe gig bag with 3 pockets for your cables, strap, extra strings, cheat sheets, and what have you, and has comfortable shoulder straps so you can throw it on your back, grab your amp, and get to the gig. In my opinion, this American Pro Classic sits in a pretty sweet spot for what I look for in today's Fender guitars. Great value, specs, and sound with a build quality that I know will stand the test of time. That wraps up our look at the American Professional Classic Jaguar, but if you have questions about anything we've covered or anything we didn't, or if you want to learn more about other Fender guitars, get in touch with us here at Crutchfield today.